The House GOP have disbanded the Civil Rights Committee.
Just days after the nationwide protests over the fatal Memphis police beating of Tyre Nichols, Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Congressman James Comer, eliminated the subcommittee on civil rights and civil liberties. My next guest proposed an amendment to reinstate the civil rights panel, but it was voted down along party lines. Joining me now in studio, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congresswoman Crockett, welcome back to the Sunday show. Why should there be a subcommittee on civil rights and civil liberties?
Well, considering where we are in this country, I don't even think it should be up for debate, unfortunately. This subcommittee existed before. This subcommittee was responsible for voting rights issues. As we know in this country, there's a few questions around voting rights. Some of us fled our state and had warrants surrounding voting rights. In addition to all the police brutality, everyone could unanimously say that what happened in Memphis was problematic. Well, what really did happen in Memphis? How did we get here? That is the question. How do we make sure that there is not another Tyre Nichols? And so it's important that we have this oversight.
This follows the same pattern every single time. A tragedy happened. The whole country says we ought to do something about it. Democrats try, Republicans resist, and that's that. Every single time. Some school's going to get shot up this year. It's going to happen. A bunch of kids are going to die. And then you're going to have Democrats say we should have reasonable gun reform. And you're going to have Republicans say, how dare you use this tragedy to push your politics? Well, the politics happen to deal with making such a tragedy not happen ever again. Another black guy gets killed by police officers. Keeps on happening. Jim Jordan, as we covered, gets on the news and says there was really no way we could have done legislation to stop this from happening. And yet, other countries all around the world have set themselves up in a way where this is not happening constantly. So we can do something. And if you want to know why it never happens, why we never do anything, it's this moment right now. This is the moment where America ceases paying attention. They'll pay attention to the horrific footage of a man getting beaten to death. They'll pay attention to that footage. But this is boring. This is a press release. This is an interview on a Sunday show. An interview about what? Disbanding the Civil Rights Panel. A step in the process that would have done something about it. This is where the evil is permitted. Right here. If you want it to stop. This is the sort of thing we need to show our representatives that we care about.
And we use it in a smart way. The idea that next week I'm going to be dealing with Twitter and Hunter Biden's laptop, these are the priorities. That is a problem when we have people that are dying in the streets. So I think that this was a very common sense amendment. And Marjorie Taylor Greene seemed to agree, kinda.
Kinda. You brought her up. Let's play this, what she had to say about Tyre Nichols.
Yeah, don't get excited. Marjorie Taylor Greene has not put on a Black Lives Matter shirt all of a sudden.
I do agree with you about Tyre Nichols' death. I watched the video, and it was tragic and extremely difficult to watch. I would also like to point out that that city is Democrat-controlled, and the 5 officers that have been arrested and charged are black. And I think that this isn't an issue of racism or anything like that. I'd like to also point something that I'd hope you share with me.
It is an issue of racism if the system itself is designed to push down a specific race.
There's a woman in this room whose daughter was murdered on January 6th, Ashley Babbitt. And
Jesus.
Ashley Babbitt there's never been a trial. As a matter of fact, no one has cared about the person.
Yeah, because it would be uncouth to hold a trial for a dead woman, and if there was a trial to be held about her death, it would be to underline how responsible she was for it. Sad? Yes. You know what? Maybe put Fox on trial for inducting her into a cult. Maybe put QAnon, the guy that is behind that account, on trial. Sure. Not the person that shot her. She was trying to overthrow the country.
Person that shot and killed her.
Congresswoman Crockett,
Wow.
Ashley Babbitt was an insurrectionist. I said it. Your reaction to Congresswoman Greene?
Before she goes, not controversial to say that. She absolutely was.
So interestingly enough, this was just an organizational meeting. And so it was my first time. So I was like, where is the clap back button? I was like, which button is the... Because I didn't know, but, it was really offensive. He had not even been buried, and you drew this false equivalency. There was no equivalency. This was a black man driving down the street in America trying to get to his mama's house who had not committed a crime versus an insurrectionist who was coming to kill some of your colleagues or harm them in some way. The fact that you think that they're on the same level is a problem for me, because you're basically saying that a white woman in America committing a crime should be given the same deference as a black man who simply was driving down the street, not committing a crime.
She's literally saying that. Yeah.
You think that that's the same level? And the fact that she had that young lady's mom in the room as a prop on that day, it was almost like we planned this and I walked into it. But it is offensive. We do know that we need, part of this that you didn't play was her talking about our prisons. And so she said, we do need to investigate, because the January 6ers that are going to jail and prison, you know what? That's a problem. Those conditions are bad. All of a sudden we care about. All of a sudden it's bad because of the January 6th insurrectionists vote.
Both these issues on the MAGA voters, as well as the people they have voted into office. What can we do? Number one, folks, vote in primaries. The primaries are how we move the Overton window, the scale of what is acceptable in American politics. That has been going right for a very long time. Lefties have not been, by and large, very involved in politics. Every step of the process, we got to be there. Primaries being among the most important in terms of your overall things you can do. Also, our representatives are still used to us not paying attention. They're used to us not watching that clip just then. They know we saw the clip of Tyre Nichols being killed. They know we saw that, or at least are aware that it happened. Most of them do not know that we're aware that Republicans are doing things right now to ensure that this keeps on happening. That means if your representative is a middle-of-the-road Republican, they think, ooh, this isn't something I've got to worry about. I don't have to make a decision on. No one's going to talk to me about it. It means if they're a middle-of-the-road Democrat, they can say the same thing. They don't want to pick any fights. Make sure they know you saw that. Write them an email, link in the description. Ask them, what are you going to do about this? Civil Rights Committee just got disbanded following the deaths of two. Wasn't just Tyre Nichols in that week. 2 Americans at the hands of cops. What are you going to do about it, Representative? What am I going to hear you say about this? It's worth doing. Why? Because if nothing else, it lets them know you see and you expect action. There is something to be said for the collective pressure we offer, and they act differently when they know eyes are on them.